Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of your favorite podcast, The Journey Called Love. It's your girl in the building, or maybe your lady, Damilola Daisy, and it's so exciting to have everyone here again. Today I am going to be talking about a very exciting topic. I titled it I Do Till Forever. Yeah. So this topic is practically for everybody. Yes, everybody, male, female, young, old, everybody, single, engaged, maybe not married, because if you're married, you already said I do. And maybe for married people as well, because you get to learn what it means, what your I do, the I do you've said, what the doing is. You get to understand what the doing is, right? And as well, most importantly, for those that are not married, so that you understand, or we understand now, because I'm also not married, right? We understand what it means, what it entails to actually say I do, before we get to say it. And that way, when we are saying the I do, we are saying it's the right person. We're saying it to the right person. All right, let's get into it. But before we go, I don't know if you've noticed, there's something I do at the beginning of my podcast, just a bit of, I remember that there was a podcast episode that I went like, butterflies, sparks. I can't remember the rest now. I don't know if you remember. It was the opening. What's the word? The opening statement in the podcast. And that is electrifying. I remember one of my podcasts. I was like, I think I'm in love. If you've been following the podcast, you know what I'm talking about right now. Well, those I would have called them love letters, but they're not long. So let's just refer to them as love notes. And if you notice in the beginning of this particular podcast, I didn't do that. Well, that's because I wanted to explain it before we have it. So here is the love note for this podcast. To love and to hold, to forgive and to forget, to stay and to stretch, to be patient and to be kind. I say I do, and I will keep doing till forever. Yeah. Well. Yeah, that is our love note, right? And those notes or words are what would guide our discussion this day in this podcast. I was about to say this afternoon. Well, this day, right? Because I don't know when you'll be listening to this. Well, so let's go right into it. First of all, we need to understand that marriage is not by force, and it is not an achievement. So if you're there thinking, look at this marriage thing is a serious talk, or everybody's just and this podcast or this episode is not in any way to scare you. I'm going to get married though, just in case you're wondering. And very soon at that. So it's not in any way to scare you or to make you have the wrong notion about marriage. It is just to prepare you, like I said in the beginning. It is so that in all of your dating and loving and calling and texting, you are, you have the right, you have what you understand what it means to say I do, especially when you do say it. Do you understand? So first thing first, we need to understand that marriage is not by force. It is not a must. Nobody gets an award for getting married. Well, maybe because of our society, there's a bit of respect that is placed on married people. Some people say they can't rent a house, so single people. Some for some jobs, they say you cannot get it if you're not married, and like that. But then again, at the end of the day, marriage is just marriage. What marriage is? It is no achievement. It's not a do or die thing. It's really better to be single and happy than to be married and not doing the do, like not doing the things you promised you would do. Because when I say doing the do, it could be translated something else, but not doing the things you vowed that you would do, not doing the things you said I do to. Because when we say I do, all right, you're not just saying I do to loving this person. Okay, let's say you're even just saying I do to loving this person. Loving this person in marriage, or loving that person in marriage, is going to require a whole lot than what you've experienced before marriage, all right? Because now you're saying till forever. It means that even if you turn blind on me, even if you become insensitive, even if you become unkind, even if you become hostile, even if you become rude and all, I would still do, I would still forgive, I would still stay, I would stretch, I would bend, I would be flexible, I would be teachable, I would change, I would just blend and be with you and fix things and make things work till forever. And it's important for me to add at this juncture that it's very, very important. I don't know how how you guys see it, but for me, I feel like that our hearts is something that we should really, really get jealously. No wonder the Bible says that we should, get our heart jealousy, because out of it flows the issues of life. Like, if marriage is something this serious, if you saying I do to someone on wedding day is this serious, because you don't know the person can actually become something else on you. I think that it is very important for you to decide who you say I do to. It's very important for you to scrutinize. I'm not saying that you should have a long list or that you should become impossible to please or anything like that, but I'm saying that you need to allow God, because at the end of the day, you cannot just do it on your own. You need to allow God to help your decision, because my darlings, like, marriage is we die there, okay? Once you're in it, you are there. And I believe that I'm talking to Christians, all right? Marriage is not a by force something. It's not a do or die thing. But once you are in it, it is a we die there thing. So you have to be really careful. You have to be really intentional about who you are dying there with. At the end of the day, if you choose somebody that turns out to become abusive, I'm not saying you die there, please, nobody should go and quote me, all right? But I'm saying that even before you even decide to be separated from the person or whatever, you would have suffered a bit. So it is just better to be sure of who you are saying I do to. I really want to emphasize that, especially for us singles, for those that are not yet married, those that have not even gotten to that stage where they want to think about marriage, those that are in a relationship. Please, your heart you are the guardian of that particular part of your body, your heart. And I'm not talking physical, right? I'm talking your emotions, I'm talking your feelings, I'm talking your heart, all right? It's God has placed that heart. Is you that would guide it. You are the one that determines what you allow in or out, So please be sure of who you are doing with. Make sure that the person you are choosing is also choosing you. The person you are saying I do with all intentionality. Make sure that the person is also telling you I do with all intentionality. I do with all intentionality. Now let's go into it. Let's dive into it. What are we saying I do to when we say I do? Especially considering the fact that it is a forever covenant. First of all, we are saying I do to foreverness. We already established that, like, marriage is forever, okay? We say, you remember in the marriage vows they say till death do us part. So you're saying I do till forever. Whatever happens in this marriage, you remember, if you know the marriage vow, they say in sickness and in health. And there are so many stories, so many experiences of people that got married and then fell sick, got married and then the spouse become diseased, so many sad stories. But according to the covenant of I do, you are expected to be there, to stay there, to love that person, and to still hold on to that person till death. The only thing that frees you from that covenant is death. So, as much as we do not pray to get married and then end up with a sick partner, still it's something that it's a reality that we have to be prepared for. Let me say it that way, all right? You have to be prepared for it, because what if it happens? If it happens, it would be easier to deal with it when you're prepared for it, all right? So first things first is that you're saying I do to forever. You're also saying I do to a lot of offenses and a lot of forgiveness. They say marriage is a union of two forgivers. You are saying I do when you offend me. I do when you annoy the hell out of me. I still do when I do not feel like doing. Like, it's crazy, really. And this is that's why they say that with marriage, there are times when love is not enough, because this is not just about what you feel, your emotions. This is deeper. All right. So you're saying I do when it makes sense. You're saying I do when it doesn't make sense. You're saying I do when I am so mad at you. I will still love you. I will still hold you. I will still support you. I will still work things out. In our generation today, a lot of divorces, even in the church, even with Christians, and a lot of people have heard the word. I decide to choose myself. I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing my mental health. I cannot deal any longer. I can't scan. All of those things. Well, my dear, nobody is asking you to deal, and that is why you have to be. That's why I said from the beginning that marriage is not a forced something. Yes, I know it's really beautiful. You see your friends getting married, and you're like, oh my God, God when, God why not me? Yes, very beautiful. But then again, let us understand what it means to be married. Let us understand what it means to say I do. So when you now say the I do, you will not come to the point where you are saying I can't do again. Because as far as God is concerned, when you say I do, you have to do. You have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it, and you have to do it right. You have to do it right. All right. So when you say I do it till forever. You'll get hurt. You'll get offended. You'll get tired. You know how a lot of us are running away from relationship because we don't have the strength to deal. Let me laugh. We don't have the strength to deal with the offenses, with the stress. Because hey, my dear, I won't even lie to you. Marriage is not easy. Relationship is not easy. It's stress. I know it's beautiful. I want it. I definitely would get married, like I said before. But it's a stress. So your mental, your mind, your body, your heart has to be ready. And the first thing you need to get ready with is choosing the right person. Because once you choose the right person, it's not like they'll not still be stressful, because even when you choose the right person, you definitely still offend each other. But there's little to what you have to worry about. There's little to what you have to fight about. There's little to what you have to deal with. There's little to what you have to overlook, right? When you marry the right person, when you marry a child of God, when you marry a Christian, when you marry someone that loves the Lord, it just brings down the stress to a very large extent. But it doesn't mean that you will not still have issues. It doesn't mean that you will not still get tired. It doesn't mean that you will not still, how on YouTube these days you see couples doing cultural shocks, cultural shocks. I think that's how they put it, called cultural shocks in marriage. Things that they got married and then find out. With culture, it's not just culture that will shock you. So many other things will shock you from your partner. Maybe culture. Maybe let's just call it culture, because culture is your way of life. So things that the way your partner has been living, some of it will come as a shock to you, because now you are faced with it every day. All right, you're faced with it every day. So. And that's actually one of the things that you have to say. You say I do too. If you're the type that normally, you don't fetch water from well, you don't even know how to do it. It's just a bottle, open tap, close it. There's always water in the house. Water is rushing. Everything is fine. I'm not saying you get married to a poor person. No. Please don't quote me wrong. And this is just an example. I'm just saying you could actually be in the situation where, before you guys move to the luxurious apartments, you have to manage just for a few months or a few days, and you have to fetch water from well, or you have to probably maybe cook with let me not say firewood. Don't mind me, I'm going extreme, Abby. But you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that you could be faced with situations that you're not used to. Yeah, I remember that before I moved from Lagos, I was used to being served my food in my room. Well, it's not a good thing anyways, but I was used to that. Mom would come back, or my siblings would cook. I'm the big sister. Yeah. And I am served in my room, and that's it. Let's say that when I left home, let's say that I got married, and from that let me paint this picture well. From that from that situation, from that experience, I was moving directly to a man's house where I have to do the cooking, and even probably if the man is nice enough, you want me to clear. But if he's not, and it can't be every day, right? I have to do the cooking and the clearing. right? This is a scenario. I am moving from a place where I am in my room 24/7, yeah. When it's breakfast is brought to me in bed, I finish eating and drop the plate, and my siblings come to pack it. Anyways, as my siblings come to pack it, and lunch is served, dinner. I'm child. Every of the meal I get served in my room. I don't have to go out to drop my plate, anything like that. And then from that kind of lifestyle, I'm moving straight to a place where I have to be the one to enter the kitchen, cook the food, serve the food, and clear the plate. Please, I mean, what? Now, the thing is not that I will do it. Eventually, I would adapt. But for the first few days or weeks, I would have to stretch. It would be a very strange thing. And that is exactly what marriage will do to you. Marriage will stretch you. The things that normally you say, oh, me, I can't even come and stress myself. I love my things. Maybe I can just cook today and put it in the fridge, freezer. There's something that love food fresh, everything. Don't refrigerate food for me. Anyways, those are just examples. Anyways, but you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that marriage is stretch, and it's not just for the lady, even for the man as well. Well, this is me just saying that this episode will likely be long, anyways, longer than usual, but I'll try to make sure that I finish in time, anyways. So you're saying I do to all of that. You're saying I do to all of the stretching. You're saying I do to all of the changes. You're saying I do to everything. Another thing that you're saying I do to, like I've said, okay, I've mentioned forgiveness. First, I said that you're saying I do to forever. Second, you're saying I do to forgiveness and forgetting. You don't go to bed angry. Yes, when you're dating the person and it's just a phone call thing, you can just say, oh, good night, and you can just, end the conversation angry and settle it the next day. But this one, you're in the same room. I don't know. Anyways, you're saying I do to settling issues as soon as they arise. So forgiving even in advance. Yes, you're saying I do to forgiving in advance, my dear. You're saying I do to forgiving in advance. Yes, because you would not be able to, only if you're not a Christian, only if you're not somebody that would now wake up to do devotion and talk to God. You cannot keep somebody in your mind and say you want to talk to God, right? So you're saying I do to forgiving in advance for your own peace of mind. You have to do forgiveness in advance. You also have to do talks. Yes, men, women alike, but I know that most times it's ladies that do this, keep things in them, keep things in us. We keep this in us and expect that the man will figure it out. Or you should know that I'm angry now, But in marriage, my dear, especially if you're with a sanguine, if you're getting married to somebody that does not really see or does not really keep, take note of things. Yoruba adage says that, I'll say it in Yoruba and translate. I know you already know my Yoruba is bad, so take it like that. And tó bá wojú ìyàwó ló mọ̀ pé ìyàwó ń sunkún. Something like that. Something like that. And it just simply means that it's somebody that is observant, that is looking at the face of his wife, that would know that the wife is sad or that the wife is crying. She understand. So there's some men like that are not, they don't see you. So if you're not talking the thing that is doing you, you're going to just be there. So you're also saying that I do to a lot of conversations. Don't keep things bottled up in you, because as soon as you start to keep things bottled up, before you know it, they become a really big deal, and it causes friction and fraction in your marriage. See me talking like I'm married already. Anyways, this is me just sharing what I learned with you guys. Okay, I'm not married or anything. It's the experience is the best teacher, but it doesn't have to be your experience. So that's just by the way. Anyways, so you also say you're saying I do irrespective of what you guys go through. Irrespective, you're saying I do to staying and sticking and not walking away, but walking through every situation in love, because loving someone means that the person is not perfect. Okay, I wrote an article. I put together something before, and I was earlier this week, and in it something like if there is a need to, I think I took it from the marriage vows to says to love and to hold, in sickness and in health, to death, blah 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 blah. And I was just pointing out the fact that if there was no need to want to run away, if there was no need to want to give up, would there be a reason to promise to say that I would love you and hold you to forever? Like, if there's no point, how do I put this? Like, how do I explain this? If there is no reason to stop loving somebody, do you have to promise to love the person? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but I'm saying that the reason why those marriage vows are in place is because we know, or society knows, or whoever put them together knows, that there will be times when you would not feel like loving this person. There will be times when you don't want to hold this person. But because you already made a promise, and that you're making a promise to love and to hold every time, because there will be times when you would not feel like it. Do you understand? It's just that way. Because love is important, or love is necessary, because there will be times when you cannot be patient with the person. That's what I was about to explain. Love, and because you remember that love is patient, so you know that to love somebody means to be patient with that person. There won't be a reason to be telling the person I love. When you tell somebody I love you, it has a lot of meaning. It's not only if the love that you're talking about is not the emotion, the kind of love that has to do with romance and what have you. But if it is, my dear, when you say I love you to the person, you're telling the person I will be patient with you even when you are the most annoying. I'll be kind to you even when you don't deserve my kindness. Do you understand? I will not keep records of the wrong you did to me yesterday, even if you don't apologize for them. Yes, it is that deep. Even if you do not apologize, and that's why I mentioned forgiving in advance the other time. Even if you do not apologize for them, I would overlook the wrongs. And I know that when you come to this point, you feel like this love thing. But it's become easier, like I mentioned earlier, if as you are intentionally doing this thing, the other partner is also doing it for you. You're able to meet each other at that point. It's not feeling like I'm the only one loving in this marriage. It's not feeling like I'm the only one choosing this person. It's not feeling like I'm the only one giving my all. If the two of you are intentionally, every day, constantly choosing each other, loving each other, saying I do, constantly holding and loving till forever regardless, it would make more sense. You won't feel so unhappy. You would not feel so alone. You would not feel unloved. Do you understand me? So yeah. Another thing that I want to point out before I end this podcast is the word from this day forward. And it's like you're living every day as if it was the first day and the last day you have with each other. So in marriage, you also, when you're saying I do, you're also saying I do to loving that person newly every day, to deciding every day, daily, as you wake up in the morning, you look at this person and you're like, I choose to love you today. Like it is the first day I met you. It's going to be sweet too. Like I said, I'm not married and I've not had these experiences, but speaking about it, I know how sweet, how exciting it is, and it would be. Do you understand? Choosing to love that person every day like it's the first day, spending the day with the person like it's the last day you would see them. That way you would not. It'll be easy for you to forgive, easy for you to love the person. It'll be easy for you to live with the person in peace and harmony. So this is what you are saying I do too, and it is forever. It is forever, my people. It is forever. So this is where I'm going to be ending this podcast. Like I said, I don't want it to be extremely longer than necessary. So, to finish, remember that marriage is not by force. But if you must marry, if you must say I do to somebody's son, or if you must go down on one knee for somebody's daughter, if you must marry and you must make the vow to do, make sure that you are ready to keep doing. Make sure that that person you're choosing is somebody that you would be able to keep doing with. And in all of your doings, you have to also make sure that you are doing it right. You're doing it the God's way, because God is the one that instituted marriage, and He wants us. If we must marry, He's not saying by force everybody should marry, but if you must choose this thing that I instituted, you have to do it my way, the right way. So if you must do marriage, do it God's way. If you want to know God's way of doing marriage, stick around on this channel. I'm sure that you're going to hear it once or twice. You're going to definitely get to listen. You're going to definitely get to know it on this podcast channel, right? Or this channel podcast. All right, if you are listening and you're so confused on the way to go forward, if you're listening and you feel this love thing they're talking about is not even for me, I don't even know how to start, I don't know what to go to, I don't know what to turn to, or somehow you've not met the one whose name is love, that's God, I would advise that you let God into your heart. Let God guide you. You cannot give love when you don't have love. You cannot receive love from a man when you've not received love from God. It's just misplaced priority. So advice that you allow God's love to fill your heart and to allow God to love you the way that you deserve to be loved. Allow God to teach you the ways of love. That way you're sure that you are loved and that you can love other people the right way. Invite the Holy Spirit into your life. If you're in a marital or relationship crisis, pray for your partner. Don't fight with them. Remember that they are not the problem. It is the devil trying to stop you from having happiness in your home or your relationship. Pray to God. Pray for them. Pray for your marriage. Pray for your relationship. Pray for your home. And I'm sure that the Lord will have his way and he will take control. If you've said I do and you regret him, well, it is not the time to allow the devil to expand your regret. It is the time to go on your knees and ask God to take control. And I ask that the God of peace will bring peace to your marriage, bring peace to your relationship, and will cause everything to be at peace. And that when you remember your vows, you will be grateful that you made them with the one that you are with. In Jesus' name. Well, thank you so much for listening. If you have questions, you can reach out to me on my mail. My mail is on the podcast bio. But if you do not know, it's olanrewajudamilolad at gmail.com. olanrewajudamilolad at gmail.com. Well, our podcast is now available on Spotify and Google Podcasts, so you can always subscribe and add to your favorites so that whenever there's a new episode, you get notified. Share the link to the podcast. Invite others to join in this journey, even as we journey to love and foreverness. Thank you so much for listening. Till I come your way again, to take care of yourself and have a good one. Bye, guys.